So you guys are able to hear me, right? Okay. So let's let's start our session. Um, W3 schools SQL. Jagdish, sign of the not yet joined. Can you make a call him? Yep. So in yesterday's
He's outside. He won't come.
in yesterday we were discuss about so what exactly the MySQL. Okay, so somewhat introduction points we discussed, right? Now in our previous session I said MySQL is the one of the RDBMS, right? So let's go for understanding the what exactly the RDBMS here. Okay, so RDBMS means it's a relational database management system. So, so relational database management system in the sense we can maintain the tables, with some kind of, relations. Okay, table in our database, you might have the multiple tables are there. Okay, each and every table it might having the some proper kind of proper relation you might be provide actually. Okay, so that you can able to provide, so that we are calling it say relational database management system. So RDBMS is a program. It can use it to maintain the relational database. Okay. So RDBMS is the basis of the modern database system such as MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, and Microsoft Access. These are all the these are all the database relational databases. Okay. So if you want to use the any RDBMS software, so we should go for using the SQL queries only. Okay, SQL language. So with help of this one we can access the data in the database, as well as we can upload the data in the database. Clear? So with help of the SQL queries from the database management system we can interact with the databases. That's a final conclusion of that one. Okay, so what is database table? So each in a database, you know in a database you might have the multiple tables, right? So what exactly that particular table? So basically table is nothing but it's a collection of related data entries and consisting of the columns and rows. Let me consider this is the small example. Okay, this is the one customer table. So the customer table it might having the multiple fields, right? This is the one field, this is field 2, field 3, field 4, and field 5, and field 6, and field 7. There are 7 fields are there. Each and every field it having its own name. That fields we can call it as the columns. Okay, and this is one entry, or else we can say that it's a record. The rows we can call it as the record or entry, and the columns we can consider considering the attribute or else fields. Okay, so column hold the specific information about the every record in the table. So this is one record, right? This is the record, and this record information. So one means what? It's a customer ID, and and Maria Andres is nothing but it's a contact name, and this could be the address. Okay, so this is the way the columns can hold the specific information about the each and every record. Here the record is nothing but a row in which individual entry that exists in the table. This is one individual entry, because of this is different and this information is different, right? Okay, these two guys are individual, so you have to maintain the individual entries, and that we are calling it say record or row. So look at the selection from the northwest customer table. So here this is one customer table. So this is one table. So this is the way you can able to go for creating the tables in a database. Okay. So this table column name 2, and contact name, address, city, and postal code, entry, country, right? These are the columns, and there are 5 entries we have it. Okay, and the column in the customers table above or customer ID, these are the column names, and there are 5 records are there. That's about the database table. Clear? Now, so what is the relational database? Relational database defines the database relationship in the form of tables. So you have to maintain the relation in a tabular form, that we are calling it say relational table actually. Relational database defines the database relationship in the form of tables. Or else we can say that the relation. Usually tables The another name is, it's a relation. Okay, relation. Okay. So in a database, in RDBMS, tables we can pronounce as the relation also. Tables are related to each other based on the common to each. For example, this is a customer table, this is the order table. Okay, these two tables having the some kind of relation. What's the relation? Here the customer ID in the customer table and customer ID in the order table could be a similar. That means this order table and the customer table could have some kind of connection, so could have some kind of relationship. So this is the way you can make the relationship between the two tables or two relations. Clear? Are you guys are following my point? The relationship between the order table, and meanwhile this is the shipper ID is the one column, and this is the shipper table is the one table. Inside of the shipper table we have the shipper ID, right? This shipper ID, and here in order table shipper ID, there could some kind of relation. So this is the way you can maintain the relation in the database. Okay, with in between multiple database, multiple tables. Is it clear? Is this point is clear or not? I'm only talking, guys. I don't know why we are not. Ramalakshmi, are you following my point? I can't hear your voice. Can you please speak out? Hello? Atidi, Sahitya,
Yes,
Ramalakshmi.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm following right? Everything is fine, right? As of now, what I said?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes. So this is the way the RDBMS can work actually. RDBMS is nothing but it's a one of the software. Okay. So it could be any kind of software. If you're using the MySQL, maybe MySQL having its own software. Okay. And the MySQL server you have it. So the MySQL server and MySQL software both can be connected with some specific columns. So inside of the MySQL server, you can maintain the table or we can maintain the database. Inside of the database, you might have the multiple tables, that multiple tables have some kind of connections or might have some kind of relationships. Okay. So if you want to create the tables, or if you want to access the data from the table, if you want to insert the data into the table, okay, make sure that you should have a knowledge on the SQL. So we are going to be learning the SQL language related to the MySQL server or MySQL database. Okay, let's introduce about MySQL. So here, what exactly the SQL? So we need to talk about SQL first of all. SQL is nothing but it's a standard language for dealing the relational database. See what exactly it is doing. This is the one of the standard language. It can help you to handle or to manage the relational databases. Okay, with help of the SQL, we can insert the data, or else we can search the data in the database, or else we can update the data in the database, or you can delete the some kind of database records or databases with help of the SQL queries actually. Okay, simply what I'm trying to tell you, SQL is the one of the language. It can help you to maintain the relational databases. That's a simple thing. Clear? So how to use the SQL? The following statement, select the all the records from the customer table. Let me consider. You have one particular table. Okay, so this is my database. Inside of the database you have one table. So the table name is customer table. So it might having the some fields. I want to go for accessing the this all records. I want to access this all records from this particular database into my machine. For that one, we should be installing the one software. This is my RDBMS software. Inside of the RDBMS software, okay, I would like to go for using the SQL query. I wrote one particular SQL query. This is the SQL query you should write on your RDBMS software. When we are executing, so this is the statement can be executed and it will be accessing the data from this particular database and it will be display over here. This is happening usually in that exactly this is the statement is doing. Select star from customer. So star indicating that all records. Okay, select is the one command, from is the one command. So we are selecting all the records from one particular table. The table name you have to mention it. So you don't worry about it. Definitely we'll talk about these things. So if you're executing this one, if you just run it, so this is my data, MySQL database. Inside of the database, we have the customer tables, categories. Actually, this is the things, it is not visible when you're working, but this is the W3 schools, right? In their server, actually, they are showing that what are the tables it was existed in that particular database server. Okay, so this is the editor window. Inside of the editor window, we can write the SQL query with this particular button. If you're executing the records, it will be showing over here. Okay, yes, there are 91 records are there. That 91 records from this particular customer table we are accessing. You can see 91 records are there. Here also it is showing that 91 records, right? So this is the command. What exactly the select is doing? Select is the one of the command. Okay, this select command will help you data query language, DQL, okay, or data transaction language, DTL. So there is, again, in SQL there is different subqueries are there, like DDL, DML, okay, DCL, DQL, DTL, different kind of things are there. Definitely we'll talk about those things as well. But here select is the one command. With the help of the select command, when you're using the select command, make sure that we should use the from command as well. In between that select and from, make sure that what columns you want to access. If you want to access all the columns, then you just mention the only star. For example, if you want to access the only specific two columns only, so what are the columns you want to be accessed? Those particular columns you just provide as the, in place of star, you just provide those two columns actually. Okay, once if you're providing those two columns records only, it will return it. And followed by the from is followed by the table you should provide. If you're not providing this particular syntax, maybe you won't get output actually. Okay, for example, I want to access the only contact name. Simply what I should actually, you can mention the contact name. So if I run it, it will returning the only contact name. For example, I want to return the not only contact name, I want to return the customer ID or something else. Okay, I want to return the customer ID and followed by the customer name. Okay, this is the two columns I want to return it. Simply in place of star, you should mention the columns names: customer ID, comma, and contact name. So if I run this one, it will returns the customer ID and contact name only. This is the way. In between the select and from, you can mention the what columns you want to be accessed from any one of the table, and after the from, you should mention the table name. That is the syntax of this particular select query. Okay, is it clear? So keep in mind that SQL keyword is not case sensitive. What does mean that not consist? So capital letters or smaller letters are both are same only. We can use the smaller select, either we can use the uppercase select, or some characters are uppercase, some characters are lowercase. It won't feel like both are different. It can feel that both are same only. Okay. In this tutorial, we will write the all SQL covered keywords are in uppercase only. Okay, so maybe if you're writing everything in uppercase, so you feel that it could be like it could be in a SQL keyword actually. Okay, if you're not writing if you're writing everything in a smaller case, you might be thinking whether it is the SQL command, whether it is the normal name. You might be worried about it. That's the reason you are segregating for your own attention or for own our understanding purpose. So SQL keywords we can write in uppercase, and table names or else column names we just use smaller case characters. Okay, clear? So here the semicolon. So every statement, it could be ends with a semicolon actually. Okay, so semicolon after the SQL statement. So this is a semicolon. It can help you to separate the two statements. Some database system requires the semicolon at end of the SQL statement. So some SQL some systems only, maybe Oracle and MySQL, it no need actually, but if you go for DB2 or else PostgreSQL, maybe it requires the colon. Okay, this is the some database system requires the semicolon at end of the each select statement, so that it's a good practice. Each SQL query, if your ends with a semicolon, it's a good practice. Okay, semicolon is the standard way to separate the each SQL statement. For example, I want to write the two SQL statement at the same line, so it could be easy when you're separated. You can separate it with semicolon actually. Okay, so in the database system that allows the more than one SQL statement can be executed same call to the server actually. Okay, yes, so you just see some kind of SQL commands or SQL keywords, and the first thing is that select, and the second one is the update and delete and insert to and create the database and alter the database and create table, alter table and drop table, create index and drop index. So here like we have multiple commands are there. So each and every commands we would like to discuss in upcoming sessions as well. Okay, so basically what exactly the select is doing. Select, it can help you to extract the data from the database. For example, if you want to access the data from the database, then we should go for using the select command. For example, you have a database. In the database you want to update the data, then we can use the update command. You have a data in the database, I want to delete it, then we can go with delete. You want to insert some new information into your okay, database, then we can use the insert to. I want to create the new database, then we can use the create a database. I want to create the new table, we can use the sorry, if you want to be modify the database, then we can use the alter database. If you want to modify, then we can use the alter. Okay, and if you want to be create, then we can use the create command. If you want to create the table, then we can use the create table. If you want to create the database, we can use the create database. Okay, and I want to delete the table, I want to delete one specific table, then we can use the drop table. Okay, so you know every keyword or every table, it might having some kind of index, right? That index we can create with the help of the index create index. I want to delete the index from the table, then we can use the drop index. So these are the commands mostly we should use in your daily usage of the SQL. Are you guys clear about this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So make sure that you have to remember these particular keywords or commands. If you and only if you have this command, then only you can able to write the any single queries. So from this one, the first thing is that we need to go for understanding the select. See guys, if you are able to understood the select command fully, okay, then it's fair enough. Almost half of the SQL knowledge is done. Because of as a SQL developer or SQL user, okay, you have to do a lot of transactions or accessing the data from the databases only. So select is the best practice. Okay, so first we need to understand the select. So you already know that select statement. What is the use of the select statement? The select statement used to select the data from the database. You have a database and you have a data in that particular database, right? I want to access the data from the database, or you have to select the data from the database, then we can use the select statement. So if you want to do that thing, okay, you should know that syntax. What is the syntax? What is the syntax? The syntax is select and in and from. In between the select and from, you should mention the columns of this particular table. Whatever the table you have it, from the table you might have some kind of column names. That particular column names you have to provide, and from and followed by the table name. This is the syntax, guys. So you just note this one. So your column 1, column 2 are the field names in the table, and you want to select this particular data from this, okay, data from this particular table. Then you want to select all fields available in the table using this following syntax. See, I want to access the all the records or all the columns information. Then we can use the star. I want access only specific columns. Then you just mention the specific column names. This is the syntax of accessing the some specific columns or all columns from the table. Just note this syntax. Okay. See here, no, you have a customer table, right? So the customer table, you have the customer name, city, and country name. These are the three records I want to be accessed from the customer table. So the customer table, which is already existed in my database. So inside of the customer table, I have the 7 fields are there: customer ID, customer name, city, country name, address. I already shown you in a previous thing, right? Here I have already shown you, right? We just see it. Okay, this is my w3 school server. So inside of this particular database, this is my customer table. In this particular customer table, I have the 7 fields are there. Out of the 7 fields, I would like to go for accessing only 3 fields. Okay, so you can try this one. You will be getting only 3 records: customer name and city name and country name. Okay, so I want to use the select start from. If I use the select start from, then everything you will have accessing from the customer table. Whatever the table you mention it, then you will able to go for accessing those particular tables only. Okay, so here we have one more concept here: distinct. When you are using the select, most of the time we are going to be using the distinct statement as well. Select is followed by the sometime distinct. What is the use of the distinct statement? See, you have a table in your database, and the table, it might having the okay. So this is the table, it might having the multiple records, right? Some situations there are 2 records can be repeated. There might be some situation, maybe duplicate records you might have it. So that situation, I want to access only unique records from the table. So if I'm using the star, then all the record, it may be duplicate, it might not be duplicate, every record it could be accessing. Okay, but whenever I'm using the distinct, only unique records it can be accessing from this particular table. That's the use of the distinct is doing. Okay, inside table, a column often can contains the many duplicate values, and sometimes you only want to list the different, that means distinct values. Then you would like to go for using the distinct command. Okay, guys, did you understood what exactly the distinct is doing? So if I'm using the select country from the customer table, maybe you would like to go for accessing the all the countries. You would like to go for accessing the all the countries. See, some situation the country could be, same countries are repeated, right? Here Mexico is repeated 2 times. But if I'm using the distinct over here, Okay, select a distinct country from the customer table. It will accessing only unique country names. This is the way you can use the distinct command. Okay, for example, I want to use the count function. So I want to know that how many number of distinct and how many number of how many number of countries are there, distinct countries. Then we can use the count function. So here the count is the one of the user defined function. Select count function distinct country, it will returns the number. So there are 21 countries are available in this particular customer table. There are 91 records. Out of the 91 records, 21 countries are repeated continuously. Okay, clear? So this is the way count and distinct and count function and distinct and count function can work. Insert the missing statement to get all the columns from the customer table. Simply we can use the select. So submit your answer. Maybe your answer can be correct. So that so once if we submit it, then it was done. I think this is the exercise we already done in our previous session, right? So that's for today's session, guys, and you just go for practice till the MySQL select statement 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. This is the 5 articles. You can finish it and come for tomorrow's session. Tomorrow we'll try to go for understanding the where, and we'll see some kind of logical operators and order by, insert to, everything we'll discuss about it. Having these are very very important. If and only if we have a knowledge on this all things, then only we can easily write any kind of query. Otherwise it's impossible. Okay, bye guys, see you, take care.